Oregon changed bail with SB48, shifting who sits in jail pretrial and who goes home. Supporters called it fairness. Critics say it tied judges' hands and puts public safety at risk. Tonight, what the law does, what's happened since, and what does it mean for Grants Pass. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Josephine County Republican. So in 2021, Oregon passed SB48, a statewide overhaul of pretrial release. The idea: reduce reliance on cash bail and create uniform release guidance so people aren't jailed just because they're poor. Essentially saying bail is racist. The Chief Justice was directed to set statewide release guidelines, and local presiding judges issue standing pretrial release orders that say who's released on recognizance and who gets conditions, and who must be held to see a judge. First, what is even SB 48? So, before this law passed, counties in Oregon had different rules about who got held in jail and who was allowed out until their court date. SB 48 tried to make it uniform. It basically said, hey, counties, follow these guidelines. Don't keep people in jail just because they are poor. On paper, that sounds fair, right? But here's the part most people don't realize. It reduced statutory minimum bail for some serious crimes. It pushes judge towards release by default. And it created what is called standing release orders, rules that automatically tells jails who to release without seeing a judge first. So instead of individual judgment, we get categories. That's where this gets controversial. So what do supporters say? Supporters claim that poor people shouldn't sit in jail while rich people walk. Holding someone at pretrial can cost their job, their apartment, and even their kids. Conditions like check-ins, no contact orders, or treatment can manage risk. And you know what? There is truth in that. Nobody wants a system where money decides freedom. Fair enough, right? But here is where critics argue it goes too far. It doesn't just release low-risk first-timers. It sweeps in repeat property offenders, chronic drug-related offenders, people who fail to appear over and over, and those people are cycling fast. It ties judges' hands. Even if a judge thinks someone's in danger, the list-based system leans towards release. It hurts victims. Imagine calling the police, reporting a crime, and seeing that person the next day. That's devastating for a place like Grants Pass. It's unfunded. If you're going to release people with conditions, you need supervisors, reminder systems, treatment slots, monitoring, and we didn't fund that. So what does it look statewide? Across Oregon, counties have noticed patterns. Same individuals coming through the jail booking door over and over. Cases stacking up because court appearance rates drop. Police dealing with the same names weekly. Same with the DA. And remember, this is not a big metro with huge staff. Many counties are rural. It doesn't take much to overwhelm them. Now, this is where it hits home. We already struggle with limited jail beds, high property crime, drug-related issues, court staffing limits. Under SB 48, when someone gets arrested for something that sounds serious to the public, they may still fall into a release category. And as citizens, all we see is, why are they back already? The police feel it, small businesses feel it, neighbors feel it. Plus, victims feel unsafe, and that matters. If people stop reporting because they think nothing will happen, crime data gets worse and accountability collapses. Originally, SB 48 was about fairness. Stop jailing people for being broke, standardized release rules, reduce racial and wealth disparities. Good intentions. But even good intentions without local flexibility lead to real-world consequences. So, what opponents want to fix? People who want to reform SB 48 are asking for more power for judges to detain repeat offenders, stronger victim protections, better tools to respond to chronic court skippers, more funding for supervision and treatment if release is the norm. They're not saying lock everyone up, they're saying use common sense. So here's some key local data points and trends that people don't really know about. A single point in time count in January 2025 found 319 people identified as homeless in Josephine County. Now, that was a drop off from 559 in the previous count. But local providers say the real number is likely higher. In 2023, the count noted 756 school-aged children were homeless in Josephine County. The city is subject of Grants Pass versus Johnson, the U.S. Supreme Court case that led the city to enforce anti-camping laws. The court noted Grants Pass had roughly 38,000 people, and about 600 of whom are estimated to experience homelessness on any given day. So the city's new leadership, elected in 2024-25, has moved aggressively. They clawed back a key grant, reduced sanctioned camping opportunities, restructured how and where people can camp. So how does this revolving door play out here in Grants Pass? Someone is arrested for a low or mid-level offense, often property crime, drug possession, or theft. Under SB 48's reform of pretrial bail, many are released quickly or with limited conditions because the new law pushes for less cash bail, quicker release, less time in jail pretrial. Without sufficient support services, substance use treatment, mental health, housing, etc., the person may reoffend fairly quickly. And this is the recontact or repeat offender pattern that we see today. Businesses, residents, law enforcement see the same names come through. The public perceives a lack of consequences. Meanwhile, the visible homeless population remains or even grows. Illegal camping, encampments near public areas, downtown nuisances, complaints, they all increase. The city responds with anti-camping laws and or enforcement sweeps. Because enforcement is expensive and sometimes legally contested, and because housing and shelter capacity is limited here, many go back to the streets, thus the door keeps on revolving. So SB 48 reduces pretrial detention and increases release. But in smaller communities like Grants Pass with limited resource, it means more people are released into a system that might not have supervision capacity. The city's enforcement tools like anti-camping laws are now under pressure. To maintain public order, and on the other hand, facing lawsuits, legal limits, and service gaps, the housing shortage, according to a local summary commentary, Grants Pass is very limited eligible shelter beds. So that would be the Grants Pass Gospel Rescue Mission. So the released individuals may end up on the streets anyway because they don't want to follow the rules of the mission. So does that keep anyone safe? Accessible shelter beds are accommodated in this unhoused population. They end up in low barrier camps. Encampment enforcement won't by itself stop the cycle. A person released under SB 48 conditions may not have stable housing or supportive services, so they end up homeless. Then they may commit another crime, rearrested, rinse, repeat, the revolving door.